Now, first off, CrownPeak. They actually are a cloud-based digital experience management platform provider. They announced earlier this month that they have merged with UK-based Active Standards, a digital quality management platform. Now, in another actually pretty significant announcement, CrownPeak has also affirmed a $50 million investment with West Coast-based venture capital firm K1 Investment Management to support the anticipated relaunch. So, Scott, with all this in mind, lots of moving parts, what's the real story here? You know, we talk about mergers and partnerships. What actually is this? Because we've been hearing a lot about both.
Yeah, why folks like to put out press releases that call these sorts of things partnerships is beyond me, when it's an extremely clear acquisition here. The K1 who acquired both firms, actually, so they acquired both CrownPeak, that was the web content management company, as well as Active Standards, basically bought the two of them, put them together, and probably that won't be the last marrying up they do, but this was clearly an acquisition, and I think they did so for good reason. I think it's a pretty good prospect for them.
So when you say that, why does this make sense for everyone?
Yeah, I think it makes sense for a couple of reasons. Number one, and thinking about the way that this is how private equity firms work, right? A number of them, they all have different strategies. Some come in, they just want to provide capital to a business that's already, growing really well. Others come and they seek out businesses that are they're considered bottom feeders. That's not the case here. What the case is here is that essentially you have CrownPeak, which has a good SaaS solution for web content management. They were one of the first cloud-based content management systems out there. Just basically need some capital. They weren't putting a lot into marketing. We talked about this during the Sitecore acquisition as well, that these subscription-based firms have a lot harder time getting lots of cash, right? Because think about it, rather than your typical software vendor, they're not taking all that cash up front from a new buyer. They're basically taking it out over time. And so to fuel and grow that business, the cost of acquiring customers actually is significant and requires a lot of cash. So this is helpful for that. Second reason it's helpful is for Active Standards, pulling that into the mix here. I think it's a really good strategy for them to go pair these two companies together just because of what one can bring the other.
And real quick, talking about the end customer, how does this affect them?
Yeah, it affects them a couple of ways. I think, for CrownPeak customers today, there's no change. For Active Standards customers today, there's no change. I think, however, that there's not a really large overlap between those two customer bases. So I think to be able to go out to, especially to Active Standards companies, and if you think about what Active Standards did, it's a governance platform that helps to identify challenges that you have on in your websites and your web pages out there. So it finds your errors and missing links and all that stuff. It can go and basically search through all of that and come back and tell you, here's all the problems that you've got. But it didn't help you manage them. It didn't help you actually fix them. So to pair that up with CrownPeak and go, hey, I know you might have Adobe as your primary WCM, but you have all these other web properties out there that are on all sorts of different platforms. Use our solution to help you manage through kind of fixing all those and keeping them tidy and neat. So I think it's a really good value proposition.
Very interesting.